Everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. I'm going to give you my financial opinions as we go along. And if you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I go over individual companies and how I'm playing this bull market in commodities. We do have a discount coming up October 30th and the 31st. Spooky is the discount code, and the details are in the description below. Let's dive in, see what the market is doing. We've got the DXY here. It is still looking robust. It's still sitting on top of support at this time, but that very well could change depending on what yields do. So we are sitting on top of this support level. And we do have slight selling pressure, and this generally looks like it wants to go higher. If I were just to focus on this chart, I would say this has a good chance of potentially going higher. We don't have a ton of selling pressure going on at the current moment. When you go and you look over at the 2-year yield, we're right at support, and if this does break to the downside, I do think that could potentially put pressure on the dollar, the DXY index. I do know that the Japanese yen looks like total garbage. So the DXY is being compared against currencies that are falling rapidly. Keep that in mind. But the 2-year yield, it's right on support. We'll see if we break to the downside here. And there could be ramifications. There could be a slowdown in the overall market is what this could potentially suggest if we start to beeline it to the downside. That's not what I'm projecting or predicting. I'm just saying if it does do that, that could be a potential outcome. TNX is flat. It's holding in there. We are seeing, two bearish engulfings right next to each other, and that generally wants to put downside pressure. And again, that is only in the short term. We'll have to see if that kicks something off in a bigger picture view. On a big picture view, though, the momentum is definitely to the upside. But this could be a short-term reversal. And then the TYX-TNX ratio, obviously the big long-term momentum is to the upside. Short-term, we are seeing some selling pressure in the short term, which could kick us to the downside for a period of time. TYX-TNX ratio coming up quite a bit, which means that the 10-year stayed still, the 30-year was up, and the short end of the curve, the 2-year, was down 0.75%. When the yield curve uninverts, that is when gold usually wakes up. Bond price is down today, but again, it looks like to me that bonds are trying to put in some sort of bottom here. We are at support. There's that big support level back here. So we've got a lot of support in the area that we're in. And we could potentially be putting in a bottom here, potentially, if we were to kick up. So I'm waiting to see what this looks like. Momentum on the bigger picture is still downward, and we may need to move sideways for a good while longer before actually moving higher. Gold up 19.5 bucks. It looks pretty good. We're at $2,017. 2017. We go back. I think this is the highest closing that we have if we were to close on the monthly. On the weekly, it looks like we've got some closes up at the 2020 something, 2025, 2024 level. So we're getting close to all-time high closing levels depending on your time frame. So if we close this month out strong, we could maybe be at an all-time monthly closing high, which is a possibility depending on how the next few trading sessions occur. Silver also following suit, up 1.4%. I still think this looks good to go higher. If gold starts to rip it here, I would expect silver to start to rip it. And it it looks pretty good. I'll just say that it looks very good. I like how we basically have a nice little flag pattern. We're starting to break that to the upside, so it looks really good. Platinum also looking very good. You get the nice big green candlestick, the small selling pressure. I think that looks good to potentially break to the upside. So if gold gets some momentum here, and believe me, guys, the government does not want gold to get momentum here. This is not good for them. The whole commodity, I think, complex will get repriced higher if gold's going to rip it here. So platinum still looks really good. Palladium down a little bit. This is our oddball. This is generally done very well under conditions that were different from '09 all the way till 2021. And then we had a massive pullback all the way back to the breakout level. But palladium generally trades more with the stock market. It has been, at least historically, than gold, silver, platinum that kind of trade in the commodity bull market. XAU to gold ratio, gold and silver mining companies outperforming, up 0.83%. Is this the double bottom? I don't know. We'll find out. But hopefully we can get some momentum to the upside. Again, still below the big long-term downtrend line that everyone is hoping that we can break for gold and silver to outperform gold. Now, if gold's going to start moving higher, gold and silver mining companies, we should probably start looking at these and seeing if this ratio breaks here at some point. CRB index doing quite well today, up 1.27%, bouncing off that support level, looking pretty strong. We've got the CRB index against the S&P 500, and that looks really, really, really strong. Big move today, 1.75%. That is commodities going up, S&P 500 going down today. So that looks really good from a longer term perspective, and I expect commodities to continue to outperform the S&P 500. And we are at very, very low levels on the big picture view. Commodity bull market from orange, orange circle to orange circle. This was the downward move, and we got the beginning of the commodity bull market and potentially wherever it ends up going. GDX up 2.4%, right up against that resistance level again. And they're all similar with this resistance level going back in all of these different ones. That's GDXJ and SILJ's down there too. We still have to get through some of these resistance levels. And there's a resistance level that goes across there too. So hopefully gold and silver mining companies wake up here if gold wakes up. Crude oil up 2.33%. We've got good support around the $82-ish level. I know some people are talking about a larger pullback on oil given recessionary fears and all that stuff. Supply demand has been favorable for oil prices to be resilient. Which direction is this going to go? Great question. It could go either way, I think. I am still in the bullish camp as we are still above the big breakout of this. We've got support here, and even if we were to come back down to $65 level, that's another support level that we could get support at. Will it go to 65? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to go that low, or maybe it comes back one last time, maybe even dips back a little bit below. That is all possible, and we'll have to see what the trading's like over the next few weeks, months. TTF gas being quite resilient. It's busted to the upside. It's up 1%. This looks really good to me to continue higher. There it is on the weekly candlesticks. We've broken out of this kind of W base, and then we're starting to get some movement on the weeklies, and on the dailies, we're continuing to move up. We've broken out of this consolidation, so it looks good to me to move higher. Henry Hub natural gas rocketed up today. A little bit of downside momentum throughout the day, but that also looks good for a potential move to the upside for Henry Hub. XOP, yeah, you know me. We do have a down candlestick. It is a bearish engulfing where we gapped up and came back down throughout the day. So there's the gap up and there's the selling pressure throughout the day. That generally works its way lower, even though we had decent showing in crude oil. So is this going to head lower? Is this going to show up where the buyers come in? Difficult to say. We're right at the neckline of an inverted head and shoulders. There's your shoulder, head, shoulder, which is a bottoming pattern that breaks and projects way higher than where we are today. So we've got some volatility going on. There has been some strong selling pressure, bearish engulfing here, strong selling pressure, but we're kind of still floating. We're remaining resilient. If the markets decide to really sell off, I'd be curious to see how this performs. And I'm talking about the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. But again, I'm not doing anything. I'm staying long. OIH holding together, up 0.07%. We'll see where this goes. It's going to go wherever oil goes. But oil really needs to be sent to the upside with all of, I think there's recessionary fears out there with the overall stock market potentially going to head lower. Raw physical uranium trust selling off 2.7%. Not a reversal candlestick, so it's still looking all right. We've got URA down, a little bit of a stronger selling candlestick today. Do we have further downside in this? Let's wait and see what happens next week. And URNM and URNJ are in the same kind of position. So we got some stronger selling pressure today, and we'll see if that continues in the next trading sessions next week. TAN also selling off. The momentum is bringing this lower. These guys are just not making money. I mean, solar, renewables, they aren't making money, and it's tough to get into something during a recession when you're not making any money and interest rates are high. So they continue to sell off. COPX up 1.2%. Copper was looking quite resilient today. It looks like it's trying to work its way on up, and we'll see if it actually does that. I don't really see any, glaringly big obvious patterns here or anything like that. And usually, what people do if I were to trade something is I would not be trading copper here. It's just going back and forth, up and down. There's no clear break. There's no clear pattern necessarily. It's just kind of moving up and down. Lithium moving on lower. The support's down at $36, and the momentum's to the downside. Rare earth metals also momentum to the downside, and we could see further downside. To me, it looks like a lot of the renewable camp, wind, solar, rare earths, lithium, all that stuff is not doing all that great. They're not making, a lot of these companies are not making money. S&P 500 down, another strong selling pressure day. And we'll see if that momentum continues. And I think this could have an impact on other markets to bring us back down. And this does look pretty nasty from a longer term viewpoint. Pretty big selling pressure here and here. And that's generally what a top looks like. So there's your top. This is your bull trap. And then your bull trap gets ripped to the downside here or wherever it ends up. We've got NASDAQ doing the same thing. Your top, your bull trap, and then it sells off due to interest rates. KRE, selling pressure today down 2.14. Again, we've got support down at $35. And no, I'm not playing this. It does to me look like it's a Livermore accumulation cylinder, which is weird. If they lower rates, maybe that spurs more lending growth. I don't know. Emerging markets down a little bit. And again, this is going to have to work its way on up. And if we get lower dollar, lower yields, I think it will do that. XHB down a teeny bit. This is more or less following the overall markets. Momentum's to the downside. I wouldn't jump in front of that. There's no reversal candlesticks or anything like that. We've got MU also heading lower. down 0.66%. Again, wait for this to find a bottom, and we could find a bottom at 68, 69 bucks. Surprisingly, copper's up 1.6%. So what's going on here? it's being quite resilient. It's not really going up and down. I know we've got low inventory of copper, but a lot of people are afraid of recession, and maybe that's weighing in on copper, but it's holding its ground right now. Iron ore is looking good. It's just moving sideways today, but it's sitting on top of a pattern, looking like it wants to break higher. Nickel down again. I wouldn't get in front of nickel. This thing, I don't know if it's being managed lower, and the JP Morgan crew is managing this now. I know they came in back here and said we'd manage it lower. And they literally came out and like wrote an article like, "Oh, we will manage this lower." It's like, really? You guys are that, willing to share that in public? Aluminum looking better. Getting some buying pressure here off support. We'll see if that continues for next week. Baltic Dry Index down 9.3%, right at that support level. We're back down to the support level. We've got Newcastle coal up 0.4%. I think this looks good. Natural gas ripping to the upside. Usually coal will probably follow after that. So that's what I think there. Bitcoin down a little bit. I know we've got some resistance if you draw a trend line. Some people are drawing trend lines across like this, saying that could be potentially a trend line through here. Maybe we can bust through it. Maybe we don't. We'll have to wait and see what gets traded here, but it still looks good to try to break to the upside. Big buying pressure, small selling pressure, that generally works its way on higher. So everything's still intact to move higher for Bitcoin, and Ethereum still looks good. It does not look horrible. If the selling pressure was here, you would have gotten a big bearish candlestick. But we've got wicks on the bottom. We have wicks on the top too. So there's buyers and sellers right where we're at on both sides of the price. So that's what we've got for today, guys. Thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys like. We do have a 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time question and answer session tomorrow. If you want to ask me questions directly, so you can ask me whatever you like. I can't give specific advice, but I can tell you what I'm doing, and I can give my opinion on some of the charts that we've got there. So that's what I've got for today. We'll catch you guys later. This is Finding Value.